At the center of the rink, Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara became the best in the world. But behind that shining moment, there were people who had quietly supported them for years without asking for attention, applause, or recognition. For a long time in Japan, figure skating meant singles skating. When the men's and women's events began, the arena filled with excitement, but when pairs or ice dance took the ice, the seats were often nearly empty. Same sport, same ice, same sacrifice. But a completely different amount of attention, and that painful scene became the beginning of this story. At the All Japan Championships, Kinoshita Group President Nagoya Kinoshita saw those empty seats during the couple events and was deeply shocked. These athletes were giving everything they had, yet the crowd was not there for them. In that moment, one simple thought came to him: I want to do something. That feeling became the starting point for years of support for Japanese pair skating and ice dance. At that time, supporting couple skating was not an obvious business decision. Singles skating had more stars, more fans, and more media attention. Pair skating did not promise quick success or strong advertising value. Most companies would have stepped back, but Kinoshita Group stepped forward. Their figure skating support began in 2006 through the Japan Open, and from there, they continued believing in Japanese couple skating long before it became popular. They supported skaters such as Kathy Reed and Chris Reed, Narumi Takahashi and Mervyn Tran, Narumi Takahashi and Ryuichi Kihara, and later other pair and ice dance teams. And that detail matters. Ryuichi Kihara's name was already part of this support story before Riku Ryu was even formed. So when Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara became a pair in 2019, Kinoshita Group was already there. They supported them from the beginning, when they were not champions, when they were training in Oakville, Canada, and when they were simply two skaters trying to build something Japan had never seen before. This was not just sponsorship. This was planting seeds. They were not backing guaranteed winners. They were helping grow an entire discipline. And for athletes, that kind of support means more than many people realize. Figure skating is expensive. Ice time, coaching, choreography, costumes, travel, equipment, and daily life all require money. When athletes train overseas, that burden becomes even heavier. So the real question is this: can an athlete truly chase the world's highest level while constantly worrying about tomorrow's expenses? For Riku and Ryuichi, the support they received gave them something priceless: peace of mind. They could focus on skating without unnecessary fear. They could give everything to one practice, one lift, one performance, without carrying the weight of financial anxiety every single day. And sometimes, that invisible support is the difference between reaching the top and falling just short. We often look at champions and talk about talent, courage, and hard work. But talent needs stability. Hard work needs protection. A dream needs people who believe in it before the world starts cheering. That is why this story is so powerful. Because Riku Ryu's gold medal did not begin only on Olympic ice. It began years earlier, in half-empty arenas, in quiet decisions, and in the heart of someone who looked at an unfair situation and said, "I want to do something." Then came another touching part of this support. In December 2022, Kinoshita Group began selling a Riku Ryu cheering banner towel. At first glance, it may have looked like a normal fan item. But this towel carried a very special meaning. Usually when merchandise is sold, production and sales costs are removed first, and only the remaining profit goes to the athletes. But Kinoshita Group did not do that. They gave the full sales amount directly to Riku and Ryuichi's activity funds. That means the more towels fans bought, the more financial burden Kinoshita Group accepted. And still, they chose that path. Why? Because those towels carried the feelings of the fans. Every fan who bought one was not just buying merchandise. They were sending encouragement. They were saying, "We believe in you, keep going, we are with you." Kinoshita Group believed they should not take even a single yen from those feelings. That idea is deeply moving. When fans raised that towel in the arena, when they prayed in front of the television, when they quietly wished for Riku and Ryuichi to skate their best, that emotion was sent straight to the athletes. In that sense, Kinoshita Group was not just a sponsor. They were a bridge between the fans and the skaters, a bridge between the people cheering and the two athletes fighting on the ice. And maybe that is why this story feels so different, because behind the Olympic gold medal, there was not only talent, there was not only effort, there was not only history, there was also kindness, there was patience, there was belief before success. And when Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara finally stood at the top of the world, their victory belonged not only to them, but also to everyone who had supported Japanese pair skating when almost no one was watching. The world saw the medal, but the medal was created by years of invisible support. And sometimes, the most beautiful part of a miracle is not the moment everyone sees. It is the long, quiet road that made that miracle possible, and yet they chose that path. Why would they go that far? The reason is what makes this story so emotional. Those banner towels carried the feelings of the fans. Every towel raised in the arena, every prayer whispered in front of the television, every silent message of "keep going" came from the heart of someone who wanted to support Riku and Ryuichi. Kinoshita Group believed that those feelings should reach the skaters without being reduced, divided, or taken from. Not even 1 yen should be taken from the emotions of the fans. That idea is quietly powerful. In modern sports, support often becomes business. Merchandise becomes profit, cheering becomes marketing. But here, the towel became something different. It became a bridge between the fans who believed and the two skaters who were fighting on the ice. The people cheering, the people being supported, and the company connecting them all came together through one simple blue towel. Have you ever seen such a pure form of support? And behind that decision was the belief of Kinoshita Group President Nagoya Kinoshita. The main figure in this part of the story is not a coach standing beside the rink. It is a supporter standing outside the spotlight, helping protect the future of an entire discipline. His belief began with one unforgettable scene at the All Japan Championships. When he saw the empty seats during the couple events, he felt something he could not ignore. "I want to do something." That short phrase carries the heart of this entire story. He was not supporting them because the sport was already profitable. He was not supporting them because it was already famous. He was supporting them because the athletes were working just as hard as anyone else, and he believed they deserved to be seen. That belief was also connected to his own past. He had once been part of a cheering squad in high school, and for him, supporting athletes was not simply a question of money. It was a matter of faith. Sports can create emotions stronger than any written story. That belief seemed to guide him through years of support, even when the results were not guaranteed. And this is where the story becomes bigger than one company and one pair. Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara won the first Olympic gold medal in pair skating history for Japan at the Milano Cortina Olympics. That was not just a victory for one team. It was a historic moment for a country that had waited so long to see Japanese pair skating reach the very top of the world. For decades, pair skating had been dominated by powerful nations with deeper traditions in the discipline. Japan had produced legendary singles skaters, but pairs had always faced a harder path, less attention, fewer athletes, and a smaller support base. So when Riku and Ryuichi finally stood on top of the Olympic podium, the world saw the result. But the result was not born in that moment. It was born from years that most people never saw. Kinoshita Group began supporting figure skating in 2006. Reports have described their support for couple disciplines as lasting around 17 years. And from the formation of Riku Ryu, they continued standing beside the pair through the long process of becoming world-class. That is what makes this support so rare. In sports, sponsors often arrive after success begins. They appear when the athlete is already famous, when the story is already marketable, when victory already feels possible. But this support started long before that. It started when public attention was low. It started when the seats were still empty. It started when there was no promise that Japan would ever win Olympic gold in pairs. And that is why this gold medal cannot be understood as only the achievement of two talented athletes. It was also the victory of patience. Victory of belief. The victory of people who supported a dream before the world knew how powerful that dream could become. The world saw the medal, but behind that medal was a long, invisible road. And maybe that is the most important part of the story, because athletes at the highest level are not only fighting rivals, they are also fighting anxiety. For athletes training overseas, that anxiety can be heavy. Will there be enough money for the next season? Will the travel costs be covered? Can they keep training at this level? Can they continue chasing a dream that still has no guarantee? Imagine trying to step onto the ice with those questions in your mind every single day. Imagine trying to trust your partner completely while another part of your heart is calculating expenses, sacrifices, and uncertainty. At the world level, that kind of anxiety can become a silent enemy. This is where Kinoshita Group's support gave Riku and Ryuichi something beyond money. It gave them emotional stability. It gave them a foundation. Riku and Ryuichi later expressed gratitude for being able to focus on skating without fear and without unnecessary hardship. That may sound simple, but for elite athletes, it can mean everything. When people talk about Olympic gold, they often talk about mental strength, focus, and pressure, but focus does not appear from nowhere. Before an athlete can give everything to one performance, there must be a quiet sense of safety underneath them. There must be people removing worries from the background so the athlete can pour all their energy into the ice. That was one of the invisible roles of this support. It did not perform the lifts. It did not land the throws. It did not stand in the spotlight, but it helped create the calm ground where those things became possible. And that may be why this story feels so moving. Because Riku and Ryuichi's gold medal was not only made from talent and training, it was also made from trust. Trust between partners, trust from fans, and trust from people who believed in them before the world was ready to believe. So when we look back at that historic Olympic victory, maybe we should not only remember the shining medal, the final pose, or the tears after the performance. Maybe we should also remember the unseen years, the empty seats, the blue towels. The quiet words, "I want to do something," because sometimes the most powerful support is not the loudest. Sometimes the support that changes history is the one that stays in the shadows until the dream finally reaches the light. Because of that support, Riku and Ryuichi were able to pour all their energy into the ice in front of them. And on top of that foundation of peace, the two of them also learned how to support each other emotionally. When they later spoke to new employees, their words revealed the mindset that had carried them through so many difficult moments. Riku said she tried to turn everything into something positive and always remembered to enjoy the journey, even during hard times. Ryuichi looked back and said they had made many mistakes, but those mistakes taught them so much. Without those failures, he said, they would not be the people they are today. That message is powerful because it shows what kind of environment helped shape them. Their strength did not come from never failing. It came from being able to fail, learn, and try again. And maybe that is only possible when you know someone is protecting your dream from behind. They did not have to be crushed by financial fear. They did not have to be afraid of every mistake. They had the freedom to take risks, to grow, and to keep going. That is why Ryuichi's words hit so deeply. A person can only call failure treasure when that failure was not used to destroy them. For Riku and Ryuichi, the ability to challenge themselves came from talent, trust, and years of invisible support. So how special was Kinoshita Group's support in the history of figure skating? Corporate sponsorship in sports is not unusual. Around the world, companies support athletes and receive visibility, advertising value, and a stronger public image in return. That is normal business. Because of that, most sponsorship usually goes toward athletes who are already popular, already winning, or already easy to promote. But Kinoshita Group's support did not follow that logic. When they began supporting couple skating, pairs and ice dance were still not receiving major attention in Japan. The seats were often sparse. The advertising value was limited. There was no guarantee that Japanese pairs would one day stand at the top of the world. A normal company would have stayed away, but Kinoshita Group kept going. From the Reed siblings, to Narumi Takahashi and Mervyn Tran, to Muramoto and Reed, and eventually to Riku Ryu, this was never only about one-star team. They were trying to grow an entire discipline. That is what makes this support so different. Supporting one athlete is already difficult. But supporting a whole field means believing through multiple generations, through years of uncertainty, and through long periods when the results may not come. That requires more than patience. It requires conviction. In my view, this was not just a successful business sponsorship. It was a record of how one person's belief helped change the history of a sport. And how did Riku and Ryuichi answer that support? Of course, they answered with the greatest result possible, an Olympic gold medal. But they answered in another way as well. They took the encouragement they had received and began passing it on to others. That became clear when they spoke to Kinoshita Group's new employees. Riku told them that entering a new environment brings both excitement and anxiety. She said she and Ryuichi had felt the same way when they began their journey, and she encouraged them to believe that every experience would help shape who they would become. She told them to enjoy everything and challenge themselves as much as possible. At one point, she even lost her words for a moment and softly apologized. But that small, natural moment only made her message feel more human. Even after becoming world champions, she was still sincere, humble, and completely herself. Ryuichi also shared warm words. He said that Riku Ryu had valued the steady accumulation of daily effort. Along the way, they made many mistakes and learned many lessons from them. Then he left them with this message: every challenge you take on will become your treasure. Those words carry the weight of someone who truly knows what struggle means. Riku and Ryuichi were once supported by others during their uncertain days. Now, they are using their own experience to encourage the next generation. That is a beautiful form of gratitude, and the fans were part of that story too. Every blue banner towel raised in the arena, every person praying in front of the television, every message of support became part of Riku and Ryuichi's strength. Fans were not only watching the story, they were helping carry it. That is why this gold medal was never only about two skaters. It was about the people who believed when the seats were empty. It was about the company that supported the discipline before it was popular. It was about fans who sent their feelings through one blue towel. And it was about two athletes who turned all of that support into history. In the end, this story teaches us three things. First, it teaches us the power of believing before the world believes. Someone saw a discipline that was being overlooked and said, "I want to do something." Without that belief, this gold medal may never have happened. Second, it teaches us the true meaning of support. Support is not always loud. Sometimes it means removing worries, protecting someone's focus, and creating a place where they can give everything to their dream. And third, it teaches us that kindness does not stop with the person who receives it. Riku and Ryuichi were supported for years, and now they are passing that encouragement forward. That is how gratitude continues. That is how a legacy grows. When we look at Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara's gold medal, we should remember the talent, the trust, and the breathtaking performance. But we should also remember the hidden foundation beneath it. The empty seats, the long years, the blue towels, the quiet belief that sports can create emotions stronger than any story. Riku Ryu's gold medal was not a lonely glory won by two athletes alone. It was a warm medal woven from the hearts of many people. It was a victory for talent and effort, but also a victory for everyone who kept supporting, even when no one else was watching. And now, as Riku and Ryuichi move into a new chapter after their competitive career, this story is not ending. Their medal will become a new beginning for the next generation of Japanese pair skaters. One day, young Japanese pairs chasing the same dream may look at that gold medal and realize that behind its shine was a story of patience, kindness, and belief. And maybe that is the deepest meaning of this victory. A gold medal is not only made in the moment it is won. Sometimes, it is made over many years by people standing quietly in the shadows, believing in a future that no one else can see yet. Thank you so much for watching until the end. What did you think about the people who supported Riku Ryu from behind the scenes? How do you feel about Kinoshita Group's belief that support matters most before something becomes popular? Please share your thoughts in the comments. And if this story moved you, please subscribe, like the video, and support the channel. I'll see you again in the next video.